welcome back into another episode of Where the Game Lives On, the official podcast of the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame, coming to you well within season 3. You are listening on day of release, week of release. This is episode 5. We just got done with the Super Bowl of sorts on the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame calendar. Our 2024 induction class was enshrined here this past weekend in Springfield. Byron, let's look back real quick. How'd you think about it? Went well? Good event?
Yeah, it's always a great event. The Springfield enshrinement that kind of kickstarts the year. We're kind of like NASCAR. We start with our Super Bowl and go from there. But the exciting class, excited to have one of our inductees with us today, Anthony Tolliver. I see you rocking the Creighton Blue Jays sweatshirt, going back to the alma mater, I guess. Well, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Absolutely. There was actually somebody in your induction video. I can't remember his name. It was a teammate of yours though, who said you were there in the fall, your freshman year at Creighton, and you were rocking the Kickapoo High School swag back then. Yeah. Whenever you first got on campus.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That was my homeboy, Dame Watts. He was actually in the crowd too. He came to the induction.
Awesome.
Yeah. He lives in Nixon, Missouri now. So, wow. But yeah, I always represent, I don't ever forget where I come from, whether it be, Kickapoo or Creighton. Now I don't really wear too much NBA gear. It's mainly Creighton gear. And, so that's kind of my go-to on a daily basis is a Creighton sweatsuit.
It's that's kind of a full circle experience for you, I guess, Anthony. Obviously growing up here in Springfield, playing at Kickapoo, go away to college and then enjoy a lengthy NBA career. And then you're back here in Springfield to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Kind of what's your brief, kind of full circle moment there?
Yeah, it was, I don't know if I said it in my speech, but, being in the Hall of Fame was never really on my radar. It was not really a goal of mine. It wasn't something that I was seeking. And so for me to be inducted into a prestigious group of sports Hall of Fame type of people, it was just a pure, benefit or byproduct of the work I put in and the things that I was trying to accomplish. Like I said, that wasn't one of the things I was trying to accomplish. It just became something that happened organically through hard work. And I think that's a testament to a lot of people, and it can be a testament to a lot of people. It's, hey, obviously there's people with goals that have goals. Everybody has goals, but sometimes whenever you have goals and you achieve your goals, there's so much that comes with that. So many awesome benefits that come with that just from working hard and achieving your goals.
Absolutely. Your induction speech, I found very inspiring, especially if there were any young athletes or any, kiddos in the crowd. You talked about your induction video. It mentioned you as being the best basketball player to ever come out of the Springfield area. And by fact, you are the only Springfield area basketball player to ever make it to the NBA and certainly have a long-standing career like you did. But you said, I was never even the best guy on my team.
Talk about stood out to me as well.
Yeah, talk about kind of what what you were going with there, and talking about your role and how you always accepted your role.
I think we live in a culture full of people who are hyper focused on being number one, right? I want to be the CEO. I want to be the founder. I want to be the head honcho of everything that I do. I want to be the boss, right? Everybody's obsessed with being the boss, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with trying to become the boss, right? Like it's nothing wrong with that. But, at the end of the day, if you are always hyper focused on that and you're not hyper focused on the role that you play until you become the boss, it's going to be a lot harder road to become a boss. It's going to be a lot longer road if you ever make it. Because to me, I think the recipe to success is what I said in my speech was, it's hard work, it's consistency, and it's knowing your role. And for me, when it came to basketball, I knew my role. It really came down to that. Like even going back to middle school days, like literally in middle school, I wasn't the best player on my team. You get to high school, like maybe on my freshman team, you can make an argument. But even then, I think Dre was probably he's a better athlete than I was at that point. You get to my sophomore year, and it's like maybe you can make an argument. for, you know what I'm saying? Like there's times where you can make an argument for me being the best player on the team, but it was never clear cut. And, junior and senior year, it was always, I was kind of third fiddle, right? Behind Spencer and Devin as far as like notoriety and all that type of stuff, right? Yeah, sure. Potential, all that stuff. People talked about that all the time. But, as far as actually being the best player on the team, it never happened. And so for me to be able to achieve the highest level of basketball, for me to be able to achieve all the goals I ever had with the game of basketball, for me to be able to say that I've never been the best player on my team, I think that's just a testament to the ability for people to achieve everything they ever want without necessarily being number one. And like I said, to me, that is how I played 13 plus years in the NBA. It just plain and simple. There's a lot of guys who don't know how to play second fiddle or to be coming off the bench or to be someone who can keep a good attitude even whenever you're not playing. Or maybe you don't play for a month, but then you're expected to go out there and play at a high level immediately as soon as the coach calls you. I made a living doing that. Literally, it was hard. I think it's the hardest job in all of sports is being in that position where you're not in the rotation, you're not, necessarily knowing if you're going to play night by night, but you have to be ready. And to me, that's the hardest thing in all of sports is to be able to be in that position. And so I made a living doing that. Literally, just being a guy who's has no ego. Stan Van Gundy actually said it, I think, best is like I put the team before myself. And in detriment to myself in some cases, putting the team first. But to me, it's what allowed me to play so long and not be so focused on, hey, I want to be the man. I want to be number one. I want to score 25 a game. It's like, nah, like just do whatever I need to do to help the team win, and things will work out my way.
You mentioned a lot of your former teammates there, Devin and the Laurie brothers and Dre and all of those guys. That 2003 Kickapoo team is widely regarded as maybe the best team Springfield's ever had. Certainly one of the best in state history as well. What getting together with those guys, of course, that era goes into the Hall of Fame alongside you on Sunday. What was it like getting to kind of hang with your teammates again and celebrate that awesome run you guys had?
Man, it was great. I surprisingly, I think there's so many people that go through life, and obviously they kind of lose track and lose connection with high school friends and high school teammates and stuff like that. You kind of morph over to maybe some college connections and then post-college connections, and that's who you kind of do life with. It's really cool that we had such an amazing group of guys. We still all are very close. We still do business with some of the guys like Kelly. Me and Kelly do a lot of real estate together. Other guys from high school, we still do business together. And honestly, we're all still pretty darn close. But it was great to see everybody, get everybody together, take some pictures, and just be able to kind of reminisce on the olden days, right? Like it makes me feel old that was over 20 years ago. But yeah, it was really cool. It's really cool to be around everybody and just be able to, especially be able to share the day with everybody, right? They weren't there for me; they were there for us. They were there for all of us, and that was a really cool moment.
Absolutely, and I was a young kid watching that team and the success they had, and whether it was the state tournament, the tournament of champions. You guys had national relevancy among that team, and you guys just had a ton of guys who could ball, a ton of guys who could get buckets. I've heard all kinds of really interesting stories about you guys would go play this high school here locally, and then they'd be wanting autographs after the game from some of you guys. I'm just curious, whenever you kind of look back on your guys' time in Springfield and kind of like wearing those big boy pants and going on the run you guys did, when you look back, what was your favorite memory from high school? Maybe it was just some random, interaction, or maybe it was a state. What really stood out to you and still does to this day?
I don't know if there's one particular thing that stood out. I'm not going to lie to you. Kelly kind of talked about the moment that I think changed everything for us, and it was losing to Neosho in the district finals our junior year. I think it was kind of the first time, or one of the first times, that uh, us as a team for sure, but then me individually kind of overlooked an opponent, and really didn't discount how good Neosho was, but we were already thinking about the state championship. We were already focused on when we get to Bashan, when we play Bashan in the championship, because it was just destined. That was supposed to be number one versus number two. We hadn't played them yet up until that point, so it was time to get there. Well, in reality, it's like you got to play the game in front of you, right? And so, ever since then, and I think probably for every single player on that team, that was kind of the turning point. And the Kelly kind of talked about it as well in the speech was, hey, '03 through '06, kind of how that kind of catapulted '03 to '06 to happen is us winning the championship that following year. And I'm not sure if we would have been as focused if we wouldn't have lost so early in the process in our junior year. So, the amount of things that we learned about ourselves, about preparation, about not overlooking opponents, about just how to win. I think that was a huge, huge turning point in high school and kind of in our maturation of being, better basketball players, better, businessmen, everything. It's like you can't overlook the next step. You overlook the next step, you can get tripped up, and the goals that you have could be taken off the rails if you don't take care of the next step.
You go from Springfield, Missouri, up to Omaha to Creighton. What was it like making that transition from playing high school here to going to at that time it was a mid major, but on the rise? What was it like making that transition?
It was interesting. Like at first, it was definitely obviously a different environment. Um, but it was also something that I wanted and I needed. I wanted. I mean, I grew up in Springfield, the same house, same environment for 18 years, right? Like it was more of the same. And for me to have, I know that Missouri State wanted, they did recruit me. I'm going to be completely frank with you, they didn't recruit me nearly as hard as you'd think they would have. Because once again, they kind of recruited my teammates a lot more than they recruited me, which I noticed. But it was something that honestly, it worked out for everybody. It worked out for the best because it was something that I needed. I needed to get out of town. I needed to see something different. I needed to experience a different area, a different living space, to have some independence and start to become a man. So that transition was definitely, I wouldn't call it difficult, but just different, right? It was just different. And living in Omaha, definitely learned to really like it a lot, and had a great time for 4 years. And it was a great experience. I wouldn't trade it for any other college experience, any other place. Met my wife there, and a lot of great lifelong friends. Dane is one of them, who we do life together. So it's literally, like I said, it all worked out how it was supposed to, and the transition to me was actually pretty smooth.
I'm curious.
So
do you still follow?
I think in your video about developing a 3-point shot while you were at Creighton kind of leads into the next question. The game of basketball itself has kind of evolved in the last 20 years since you were in high school. What's your thoughts on the game of basketball and kind of how you developed, moving up through the college ranks that kind of set you up for a lengthy pro career?
Yeah, I mean, I was always kind of a forward thinker. I still am. I still kind of think about the future a lot. Sometimes it actually in detriment to the present. I start thinking about so much in the future that sometimes I forget to live in the present. And so even back then, though, that's just how my brain always worked. When I was in high school, I was focused on what I needed to do to develop for college. When I was in college, I was focusing on what I needed to develop for the NBA. For the NBA, when I was in the NBA, I was focused on developing my post-career so that when I transitioned out, that I would have a good transition and have a solid career post-career. And so just even, thinking back to high school and kind of that era of basketball, I was always thinking about the next step, and the next step, in the next era, the next situation for me. I had to separate myself, and I knew that back then, 6'8", 6'9", whatever. If you could shoot, that was something that separated you from most 6'9", right? 6'8", 6'9" guys. Nowadays, it's everybody can shoot, but back then, that was the separator. That was, hey, if I can defend and shoot and be a threat from the outside, it would be something that I could. That's my calling card. That's something that separates me from the next guy. And so that's what really ultimately drove me to develop that part of my game. And nowadays, like I said, it's everybody has to shoot, even 1 through 5. I mean, there's a few guys who can't shoot that still bring value, but most of the people who are the most valuable players are shooters, they're defenders, they're rebounders, they're passers, they're ball handlers. Kind of have to do everything now. There's no more specialization. You got to be a jack of all trades in today's NBA, today's high level. So much different game. I think that I would have maybe been more valued coming out of college with the skill set that I had. I would have had to have not played center. With in today's game, being 6'8", long arms, versatile, being able to shoot. I might have got drafted in today's world compared to back then. But that's probably the only difference.
I got to ask, we talk about the evolution of the game and how we space out the floor more now, and you're seeing, 30 plus threes go up a game. Relating back to the Valley here, have you seen this big man, this forward out of Indiana State by chance that's kind of gone viral here recently? I call him a baby Jokic, but it's Robbie Avila there from Indiana State. What do you see whenever you look at his game?
Yeah, that baby Jokic / Bird. He's
Larry
got
Bird. That's my favorite.
Bird.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of ironic that he's at Indiana State, right? But he is very much so just kind of an old school, like prototypical great ball player from like the early 80s.
Like, he's throwing it back.
Kind of slow-footed, highly skilled, super high quality, shot making, shot taking, passing. But like you said, kind of a baby Jokic / Larry Bird type of combination. I don't have any doubts that he can play in the NBA. I don't know how big he is though. He looks big out there, but he's also played in the Missouri Valley, so that kind of can be misleading sometimes. But with that type of size that I feel like he has, 6'9", 6'10" size, with that type of skill set, he's not the most athletic guy in the world, but the thing is, Jokic isn't either, and he's maybe the best player over the past 5 years, right? So now Jokic is he's also 7 foot, very long arms, very incredible player. But it's still like, to me, it's, you get the guy down in Houston, I forgot his name, Alfred something. He's another baby Jokic type of guy, right? And you can see he's on the brink of being an all-star. Now, can this kid from Indiana State be that guy? I don't think so. The guy in Houston is actually a very good athlete. I think that's what kind of separates him. Really good athlete. Can really jump and move his feet and everything else. But he's a handful. I think the kid is definitely been overlooked. I don't know. Speaking of Larry Bird, have you seen Larry Bird's grandson?
No, I have not.
I've seen. Yeah,
that video I literally just saw for the first time yesterday, or sorry, Monday or two. Yeah, Monday. And man, like, you need to go check out that video. He now, talk about athleticism. He's a great athlete. He can shoot. He's got the full package, and it's Larry Bird's grandson. So third generation of Bird, I think is coming, and he'll be in the league here in a couple of years.
Yeah, some of those guys, they get that attention because, they're kind of unorthodox, or maybe they're a little slower footed or something like that. But you watch the tape and it's like, man, these dudes get buckets though. They do.
They're effective. Doesn't matter. I don't care how slow you are. Look at Jokic. Like I said, he's not fast. There's guys who are highly effective. Slow-mo, that plays for Minnesota. He literally is he can guard, like his feet can move well for guarding, but like his offensive game is about as slow as you could possibly be. Now, granted, he's 6'10", but slow. Look at Doncic. I mean, what the heck are we talking about here? He's not fast, right? He's just got size and he's got skill, and he just knows what to do and how to do it. And he's one of the hardest people ever to guard because of it actually makes it almost harder to guard because you don't know how he might go so slow that you are so off of rhythm. There's just a rhythm to guarding people, and if you are going that slow, it's hard. It's hard to guard someone who's that slow. So there's nothing. I don't view that. If you have size, I don't view slow anymore as a negative. I think I think it almost works to your advantage.
You mentioned several European players. I think I saw the mock draft coming up. I think the top 7 spots. It looks like it's going to be guys coming from Europe. That's been a massive change in the last 20 years of the proliferation of European players coming into the NBA to the college ranks. We have the Euro step now, that a new term in basketball. What have you seen in the last 20 years of the increase in the number of European players coming to play in the United States?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the shift has happened, right? It has absolutely happened. It's been now for the past, out of the last 5 years, if you name the top 5 players, obviously you can make an argument for Steph to be a top 5 player.
Sure.
But as far as other Americans in the top 5, like seriously, like it literally. Now here's the deal: U.S. all day long is going to dominate when it comes to Olympics, because as far as overall talent, there's not one country in the world that can touch the U.S., right? But as far as individual talent, individuals coming out of different countries, I mean, there's no doubt in anybody's book, the last, at least 3 or 4 years, your top 2 in the NBA are Jokic and Embiid, period, right? No doubt about it. And then you start filling in the gaps. This year, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's from Canada, right? He's not from here. You got Luka Doncic, who's not from here. And, it's like from there, it's like, who do you put at that 5th this year? Giannis. Giannis is maybe like Giannis is right there with all those guys. So like right now, those are top 5 players in the NBA, right? Not one of them from the United States. And
it'd be one heck of if you had like a Ryder Cup format where it was United States versus
overseas. Yeah.
That could get hairy for us. That could get hairy for us. Where it's like United States versus the world type of all-star game. Woo. I don't know. Like, that might get hairy for us. But you talk about individual countries, the United States is going to win that all day long. But as far as the shift has happened, and I think that teams are starting to see, like I said, the guy I can't. I want to be able to pronounce his name. I can't. The guy from Houston. Those types of guys who are just kind of slipping through the cracks.
You're talking about Segun?
Segun, yeah. He's amazing, so good. And he just slipped through the cracks, right? He's just somebody that, like, there's no way he should have been outside the top 5 picks, whatever draft he came in, right? Mm-hmm. Like, because that dude is unbelievable. Like, he is the guy that Houston is and should build around, because, like I said, anybody that plays that closely and that well, that close to somebody like Jokic, that's who you have to build around. And so, yeah, I mean, those guys are it's definitely changing the game, and making it more, worldly. But I think it's great for the NBA, to have these superstars from all over the world come to the NBA and become superstars. I mean, we haven't even talked about Victor Wembanyama, right?
Yeah.
Like
That's what I was about to bring up.
he's a whole nother just new age, like, new definition of what 7'5" looks like, right? New definition of what a 7-footer can look like. He's unbelievable. His stats through the first 43 games, his blocks and rebounds or blocks and steals, I think blocks and steals equaled what Gobert had in his one of his defensive player of the years totals. In 43 games, his first 43 games. So, like, this kid can have something. He can do something that we've never done or we've never seen before, for sure.
Yeah, I think when you look at him and when you look at Chet Holmgren out of OKC, you throw that in with the Jokic's and the Embiids and stuff. I really think we're seeing a shift in some sorts of guys who can play that point forward kind of role and really just be the catalyst of the offense there at the 5 position. Do you think that's kind of the way some things are going, where we're going to see that guy bring the ball up a lot more and really just kind of facilitate the offense for all 4 quarters?
Absolutely. And I think that, shout out to Don Nelson, who I feel like was kind of the first coach to recognize using your big man to facilitate your offense makes a lot of sense if you have a skilled enough big man that can make passes, because big men don't normally go up and trap or go up and turn, pick up full court and all this different stuff. Like when I was with Golden State, I was playing power forward like I had my entire life. But when I got to Golden State, Don Nelson was like, "Hey, Steph, pass the ball to AT and he'll bring the ball up." I'm like, "What? Why would I bring the ball up? Like, what? That doesn't make any sense." He's like, "Yeah, it does." He said, "Steph Curry has whoever on him, Baron Davis, and Baron Davis is picking him up full court. And so instead of wearing out Steph's legs, we'll give you the ball, and whoever is guarding you is going to be back at the 3-point line or back at the free throw line. So you can literally walk the ball up without any pressure, and then we can initiate the offense through you." I said,
"Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense." Like, I can dribble the ball up without any defense. I can dribble the ball up with defense, but there's no 4-men, at least back then. 4-men weren't picking up full court. And if you look at today's NBA, they're not doing it in today's league anyway. Like, they're not picking up Embiid full court. Give them the ball. Everybody's running back to the paint. So it's honestly like a lot easier to have your offense be, done and transition through the big man, because there's nobody really guarding him until he gets to the paint.
What about your post career? You talk about being forward thinking. What are you up to these days, and what's the future looking like?
Yeah, honestly, spending a lot of time with my family. I'm trying to really focus on making sure that I keep the main thing. But I'm a big thinker. I always kind of think about the next big dream, the next big opportunity, and so I've always done a lot of investing and invested in real estate, invested in I invest back in Springfield quite a bit. In businesses and in real estate. So that's always kind of like been my thing. But my next phase of my life is really about impact, and trying to do things that are impact. And yeah, sure, obviously making money as well is great, but it's really more about, okay, how many people's lives can I impact? How can I impact those around me? And how can I be, of service to people around me? And so, just kind of over the past year plus, I've been working on, trying to work on a deal to provide life insurance for the entire NBA, and so,
Awesome.
which would be, an amazing feat, something that would be, awesome to do. But to me, it's really about the impact that I could, that not me, but the team that I put together, the impact that it could make on so many guys' lives and their families' lives, that, just hearing about stories of guys who unfortunately pass away at young ages, or maybe they didn't play very long in the NBA, maybe they didn't make that much money in the NBA. If we can provide, a policy or something that that they get automatically from being associated with the NBA. They become a part of the brotherhood, even if it's for 1 year. Now they have something that, that they can take away from the game. And because they added to it, right? Anytime you can say you played in NBA, you've added to the product, no matter if you've played 1 minute or 100,000 minutes, you've added to the product. And so that's what I've been working on for over a year now, and just trying to see that through and see what I can do to help people through that space.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Sorry, I slipped out there for a sec. I had to go AFK for a sec on us, but talking about what you're doing post basketball now, obviously it sounds like a lot of cool endeavors. I know that you've got some kiddos playing basketball right now too. What's it been like, kind of getting to watch them develop and kind of being a part of their journey that's getting started?
It's been great. Both of my sons, they play basketball. They play for fun. They're not like me. They're not all serious about it and, wanting to accomplish huge goals through the game and, talking about playing. My youngest son says, I want to play in the NBA, but then he also is like, oh, but I also want to be an astronaut. And I want to, raise dinosaurs, whatever. Right. So awesome. Let's do it all. But it's been a learning experience for me, right? As a father, I just assumed growing up, whenever I was growing up, and I was like, oh man, we're gonna start having kids. I'm thinking these kids are for sure gonna love the game. They're for sure gonna love basketball, and they're gonna for sure want to follow my footsteps. And at this point, that's probably not gonna be it, right? And I'm okay with that. It took me a while to get okay with that. But now I'm totally okay with that. But I do know that sports can bring a lot of, great learning experiences. And that's all I'm really hoping for now, is to be able to help them learn through the game, instead of it being just about anything but just learning. And so just learn how to work hard, learn how to associate putting in consistent work with results, right? Achieving something, it takes a lot of work over a long period of time to achieve anything great. And so that's what I'm trying to get them to understand through sports now. It's not about them playing in an NBA or even getting college scholarships. Sure, that'd be great, right? But it's not about that. It's about them just learning what you can learn from the sport and moving on from there.
Well, we're probably coming down to the end of our time here, so we don't want to take up any more of your time. But hey, we appreciate you joining us for sure. It really means a lot. It was great having you in Springfield.
Absolutely.
Congratulations again, by the way, on your induction to the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. Very deserving. I guess you've been tagged with that title of best basketball player to ever come out of Springfield. So.
Hey man,
and Hall of Fame.
My nephew took that to heart because he, I guess my sister hit me up the other day and said that he couldn't wait to get to school, and she was like, normally he's dragging around. And she's like, well, why can't you wait? Because he was like, well, I've got these cards I want to give to a couple of my friends, and since Uncle Anthony signed them, and he's the best basketball player ever. I want to make sure that they know that. And my sister's like, wait, the best basketball player ever? And he's like, yeah, that's what they said at the event.
The goats are facts.
Hey, I'm not gonna argue with the kid, right? You tell your friends whatever you want to tell them.
Racing dinosaurs, best basketball player ever, whatever it takes. So
whatever it takes. It's all fun and games, especially for little first graders. They don't know any difference. They don't know Michael Jordan. They barely know LeBron James. So hey, I'll take the title for a little bit.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, congratulations,
Awesome.
Anthony. We appreciate you being here. And if you ever need anything, let us know. But congratulations on a Hall of Fame career, and look forward to watching what's next for you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Be sure to follow us on social media. We've got new episodes of Where the Game Lives On coming out every Wednesday. Awesome guests. We love when we can get guys like AT in here and just kind of, talk game and talk about what we're doing nowadays. So we'll be back next Wednesday. Be sure to tune in, and we'll catch you next time on another episode of Where the Game Lives On.